Well, I'm just going to begin by asking, of course, this completely revels in the enchantment of the original fairy tale, and you really kind of thrive in that traditionalism. I was wondering, how great is it just to make a movie that is just so good-natured and fun and charming, and hasn't, I mean, just like the character Cinderella, hasn't really got a sort of bad bone in its body?
Well, it was very releasing, very liberating, and also very good for the soul, actually, and some key moments on it. Often they were working with Lily and just seeing this sort of quiet tenacity and kindness coming through, because she worked so hard to let that sort of shine out of her. But like moments in the ballroom sequence where at the end of one Saturday, I recall, where we'd done a lot of the dancing, spent the day dancing, and everybody was on set, all the actors, 500 extras, a huge number of crew, everybody had been up since very early. The feeling of exhilaration at the end of that day, the enjoyment, the sort of sense of the endorphins swimming around that huge soundstage and that huge ballroom set was really beautiful, and it felt as though we'd taken all of that crew to the ball, and that we had a chance, therefore, of maybe being able to take our audience to the ball too.
Because I was wondering, when you directed that scene, obviously, like you said, 500 extras and loads of people sort of dancing and doing their stuff, and it was all very obviously choreographed. Was it quite similar to directing a big action sequence, which you've obviously done before? Was there kind of similarities?
It has its similarities in a way. There's a clearer set of rules, because we'd had a lot of actual dancers who understood timings and and spatial awarenesses that sometimes it's harder to achieve across lots of fighting, although I've done that as well in things. I started with that with Henry V, where you essentially get lots of action dance moves happening that all have to sort of coordinate with each other. And we were going for such a sort of live feel that we wanted much of this to happen in one big shot at many times, rather than small bits chewed off. I think there are a lot of similarities.
I was wondering as well, I mean, a lot of us have real kind of personal ties to Cinderella, just from growing up. There's a kind of nostalgia attached, of course, and almost like a sort of ownership, I guess, as well. I was wondering if that, did you feel that kind of sense of pressure, knowing that there was going to be a lot of people seeing this, already had a kind of pre-established love for this story and idea of what they wanted to be? I
chose to see it as an advantage, really, because the first time I ever watched it with a group of people and the lights went down, I looked at this 5-year-old who was 2 rows down. I thought, well, he's about the youngest guy in the audience, and he knows what this story is about. I mean, he knows what the story is. This is an unusual evening where people have, as you say, that ownership. But it means they're disposed to be engaged with it, and they care even more, not what's going to happen next, because they know that, but how is it going to happen next? That's why they're back, and that invitation as a director is an exciting one.
And was there any sort of discussions to modernise it or alter much in the narrative? Was it always your kind of aim just to remain faithful to the story we know and love?
Trying to clean up and get back to the source for the message to come winging across was important to me. I thought that we would date very quickly if we updated it. I thought that given the swiftness with which technology moves, if you're in 21st century Brooklyn, I don't know, and she has an iPhone or doesn't have an iPhone or whatever, that by the time the movie comes out, practically, that side of things may have advanced so swiftly that quite specific relationships to the modern world might be outdated.
I was wondering as well about sort of Lily, who's just, you couldn't picture anyone else in this role. She's so brilliant in it. I was wondering what it was about her that you felt would make your perfect Cinderella.
That people, warm to her. She has a generous spirit, warm laugh, a very expressive voice, a natural disposition herself to think of others. So I'm not suggesting she's a saint, but she has a lively connection to a really good impulse. And so I knew the audience needed to want to spend time with Cinderella. I knew that they'd want to spend time with Lily.
Of course, you're reuniting Lily and Richard for the stage play of Romeo and Juliet. I was just wondering if we can expect to see any sort of Shakespeare on screen from you anytime soon.
Well, I'm unsure. I mean, we hope to perhaps remount our production of Macbeth and bring that to the screen. That would be the next thing probably that's most likely.
Oh, brilliant. And obviously this is the first time working with Disney for you. What was that experience like, and were there any kind of strict guidelines in place? Or?
No, I worked very closely with Sean Bailey, who's the president of Disney Live Action, and he himself is a screenwriter and a producer, and it was a non-prescriptive kind of relationship. They didn't, or at least if they did, it was so brilliantly and subtly done that I didn't even realise I was being hoodwinked. So in which case they're brilliant, but no, they seem to, in the nicest possible way. Within the broad understanding of the kind of picture I wanted to make, they let me get on with it.
So just finally, you've obviously mentioned you might be doing more Shakespeare, but can we ever expect a return to Marvel from you?
I have no idea. I love the Marvel Universe and I enjoy reading and seeing and watching about it, but I have no particular plans to return, but you know, it's a sort of important part of my professional life, and so who knows?
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!